after he sold the store, I think it was straight to the Brits, but maybe there was an interim owner, I don't know. I mean, and they were living down, the Merritt house was still down at the right turn onto the bypass. I would see him walk up to the store every day to pass the time, and somehow I thought that was a little sad. Anyway, thank you to the Historical Society for doing this. It's a wonderful event. Thank you.
Thank you, Jerry. Those of you that know and have heard stories about Evan, you know he loved to collect land, you know, and you've already heard that about him. And I heard somebody say one time they asked, said, Evan, said, do you want to own all of Chatham County? He said, no, just the part next to mine.
I just want to shake your hand because I've heard you so much on the radio, and I thought you were 90 years old. I never dreamed I would ever meet you in person. But I just want to say here to Dr. Merritt and the three daughters that you would never know how much your father loved you. And this jacket here and this hat, I know your mother's name was Ruby, but to him it was Madam. Every lady that drove up to this store, it was herself. You didn't wait on yourself, it was full service. And I was taught when you came out, he always wore the SO cap, and he said, how you doing, young? And when his wife, Miss Ruby, I never heard him call her Miss Ruby. She would drive up to the corner of the store. If she wanted him to bring home something or tell him something about the kids, he would go out and he'd always tip her hat to her. He tipped the hat to every lady, and he was a man of integrity. I remember it was very, very cold, and Mr. Julian, that lived up the street here, I think he was driving when he wasn't supposed to, his Cadillacs, and he would come down to the store. So Tom Lankford was here that night, and the man came in and says, where's Mr. Merritt? And he said he went home to eat supper, he'd be back about 10. So he came in, and we didn't have time to forewarn Mr. Merritt that this guy was kind of get the insight on the heart condition of Mr. Julian driving to the store. And I said, oh my. Well, this man questioned Mr. Merritt to the nth degree, and he never once told that man anything. He said, whenever I see him, he walks through the door with his overcoat on, and he's a 200% gentleman. He always pays in cash. I don't know anything about what he's driving. He says, I can't believe that you own a service station here and you don't know what kind of vehicle he drives. He says, no, sir, I don't wait on him in that respect. We've been friends all our life. He comes in and gives an order, and we wait on him and he leaves. I don't follow him out to his car. And I thought that was the greatest thing because he didn't. He didn't follow him out to his car. And I knew he might have known he was driving, but he didn't know he was supposed to. And one other thing I can remember when I came to work for him in 1964, gas was, SO Extra was 33 cents 9 for a gallon of gas. And it is amazing how time flies. And we talk about the bluegrass music and stuff. We used to have this here when Dr. P.G. Arnold, I'm not sure if he's still alive. He would come by the store and bring friends, and they were always connected either to the law school or dental school. And I've often wondered if Mr. Merritt could deal with the ATM machines and the visas and all the credit cards of the day, because there was no credit back in that day. He just had an SO standard card, and you rolled it and it was a carbon copy. And I think he really should have done a mathematical major in something, because he counted on his fingers and he never made a mistake. Peace would request him and he'd have a pen, and I never could catch on to how he would do that, but he counted with his finger strip. But he honestly was a truly gentleman of high integrity of every respect, and he really loved the kids. He loved you, and I don't think he ever had but one vacation in his life. His brother-in-law, Mr. Onyx Hunt, was up in the top layer of the telephone company here in town, which would have been Miss Rubia, Madam's brother. And I think Dr. Merritt at that time was in Florida. I can't remember exactly where. Anyway, Mr. Onyx Hunt wanted to take Mr. Merritt to Florida because he knew he'd never been. He wanted to go, knew how much he loved Wendell, because Wendell was studying to be an orthopedic surgeon. And he wanted to take him, and we all had bets he'll never go. But brother and sister were together there. Miss Merritt and Mr. Hunt was working together there, and they left. Mr. Merritt was probably way more wealthy than Mr. Hunt, but anyway, he got in on I believe it was a Tornado some kind of expensive car, and they left and they filled the car up with gas out there, and Mr. Merritt wanted to pay for it. He said, no, fill him up like that. And Mr. Onyx paid for it. Says, I don't think I'm going to let him spend a penny while we're gone. But when he came back, he was just so proud of his son, not only his daughters too, because all, if I remember correctly, all were school teachers, and they raised beautiful families. And he was just so proud that he was able to go to Florida and see his son make such a compliment.
You lived up to it.
I'm speechless, really. This is a wonderful, wonderful day. It's a wonderful place to be, and all hearing a lot of here tell stories, and I hear tell stories a lot of my whole life. But I have just a couple of my own, and I want to mention two things. I guess one is that access and accessibility, and I hear about, and I really realized as a child, I heard this about the ice cream you could open up and I could always get one ice cream. I remember that. Let me come over and get one ice cream. But I had access, and the access was to nature, and the access was to people, and the people had access to each other. The philosopher's bench up here was not something that I knew about because I was too young. I'm the one on the left. That's me, and I don't really remember that exactly, but I think I've kind of soaked it in a little. And I want to say thank you to whomever it is that was responsible for helping to maintain that access. Somebody mentioned the pastor, and I just driving up, I saw that there's a way to get to it, and that means a lot because I think that I remember walking the road to the pastor, and with Granddaddy, and going fishing, and that's a memory that's burned into my memory. I guess the other thing is, Evan Merritt is Merritt's store. And Merritt's store is Evan Merritt. And I'm really proud of my name, and I'm really proud of my family, and proud of my wife, Lori, who took my name and our name, and I want to introduce everybody here to the next Evan Merritt, and his sister Sunny, and Sunny's all the way over there too. We are in California, and so we are a long way away, and I think someone that mentioned that your heart is here, and so I really feel like it's nice to be able to come home. And so I want to thank you all very much. Thank you.
I think this is wonderful. All this laughter and reminiscing about such a good man. So we need to keep Robin and Bobby and Charles and little Robin in our prayers because she's in bad shape, she's in pain. And I told her sister today, well, I always told my kids if I could have picked them out, I couldn't have done a better job than God did. And they live up to down what you predict of them. And I told Robin's sister today, I said, if y'all could have picked out a sister or a Christian, y'all couldn't have had a better one than Robin. And I want y'all to pray for them, not just her, but for all of them, because they need God's comfort. And if you think of them day or night, pray for them. If I pray at night, I go to sleep. I mean, the devil gets me right to sleep. So every time I think about them day or night, I pray for them. And I want y'all to do the same. And if it wasn't for Robin, none of this would be possible with a historical society or any of this, along with Mr. Evan. Okay?
Well, what a nice way to close. And we're grateful to the Brits, and we have Robin and the whole family in our prayers. Thank you all for a wonderful occasion and for giving me the privilege of being a part of it.